Hello and welcome to this quick tutorial on how to use 3D printing software for 3D printers. In this tutorial I will catch two different types of 3D printers. One is RepRaps and everything else. And the second part is MakerBot, because they have their own software and works a little bit different. Okay, the software that we use preferably for open source 3D printers is called Repetier Host. And it's a nice software, little nice 3D window and another bunch of stuff. And I will just show you how it works by loading a random file out of my downloads. And for example, I take the AutoCAD, that's a good one. Bam, there it is. This object I can translate, so put it in a different location. I can scale it, I can rotate it, but we're not going to do it now. And I downloaded, so I loaded my STL, and this STL I have to slice. Built inside of Repetier is the slicing software called Slicer, where the E is a 3. And you can just load the presets. And for example, printer settings. We have here fast, which is basically normal speed. I can make, I have a printer profile made called Hollow, which is like for bracelets and things like that. I have a cookie cutter, which makes only the outside of a solid shape, but also gives a little extra foot to it, so it becomes stable. I have medium, which is a bit more precise and slow, and standard and phase, which basically does the same thing as hollow, so it makes only the outside of an object, but also keeps the bottom inside. So for this, we just use fast, which is the print settings. And now we have the printer settings. We have different kinds of printers in the workshop. One is an Orca. I should also put here Orca. And they can have different nozzle sizes. And the funny thing of 3D printing is that you can basically bring back the nozzle size to the way you want it. It will just print more accurate. And to a certain degree, you can just say, for example, if you have physically a 0.5 nozzle in your printer and you tell Slicer that it is, for example, 0.35, then it will behave as if it were a more finer nozzle. For now, we just take the nozzle 0.55. And the last thing I do is to set the filament. I made profiles for different colors. And for now, we just take black. And then slice with Slicer. That can take a couple of seconds. If your computer is a bit slower, it might even take minutes. But Slicer is one of the fastest G-code generators, because G-code is what we are after. G-code controls the printer. And there we are already. In the G-code editor, now also in the 3D window, you see some blue lines. It might even be that you see also some light blue lines, which are travel lines, but we just hide them. It's a bit easier. Can I? No. Oh, that's... No. I am trying to make this window a bit more visible for you. There we are. Kind of are. The interface is a bit strange. I can show the complete model, and if you zoom in, then you see all the moves it is going to make, which is extremely nice. I can also show one layer, and if I move this cursor, then I can see per layer what it's up to. I can rotate it with my left mouse button, and here you see, okay, here we have the outlines and the infill that it's going to make. And that's all fantastic, because now we can print. Before you print, you can set the heat, but of course we first need to connect the printer, because your computer and the printer need to communicate. This is done in the printer settings. You have on Windows computers, you will see here a number of COM ports. On Mac computers, you will see a USB serial port. On Windows computers, you sometimes have multiple COM ports, and most probably it's not number 4. It can be somewhere between 0 and 12 or something. And you basically have to try it out which COM port it is. Then the baud rate is the frequency in which the computer and the printer are talking to each other. And for the Orca printers, it's 250,000, which is a normal rate. If that doesn't work, you might want to try the 115,200. These two baud rates are quite common, and the rest is basically not necessary. So if these settings are done, now you can say connect to the printer, and if it becomes now green, then you are connected. At the bottom you see here some temperatures, which is the temperature of the extruder and the temperature of the bed, and that is now idle. You can also show it here. This is the temperature graph, which is really nice to look at. And now I preheat the extruder just by pushing here. Then, and even more important, I preheat the print bed. We have to wait now a little while until they get the right temperature. And as soon as they have the right temperature, I can just say run job, and it will do the printing. That is the short version of how to work with Repetier in Makerware. It basically works the same, just a little bit different. Here we have Makerware. Also here we can add an object. Let's just go to downloads. And again, the AutoCAD. Open the AutoCAD. Bam, there it is. And I can also scale it, I can turn it, I can put it in the center, etc. And as soon as I'm happy, I say make. We make it for the replicator too. The infill we can just leave at 4%. Number of shelves 2 is quite okay. Layer height, just do, basically the defaults are quite okay. And the same for the temperature and the speed. And the profile is medium. If you really want to fiddle around, you can do the high quality settings, which means that you use a different slicer, which is Keying Forge, which has many different settings. So we just keep it simple for now, medium. You can also click on supports, then it will generate support material for things that might fall down during the print. But to keep it short, we just say export. And then it asks you to save it somewhere, because the replicator basically works from an SD card. And the code you need is the X3G code. And then you save it somewhere where you can find it again, let's say the desktop, etc. I don't have to explain you how to save a file. And you can also save it directly to the SD card. That's the short version of Makerware. Before you think that Repetier cannot do that, that's not true, because you also have here an SD card manager, and you can upload a file to an SD card. Some open source 3D printers also can run from an SD card. The Orca that we use in the workshop is cannot do that. The Leapfrog printer also does not have that, but the Prusa i3 that is also in the workshop can do that, so you can also try to do it like this. Something else to say? I think not. This is just a short version of how you can print. If you have already made a G-code, you can also load it here, and then you can also get this nice this nice 3D view of what your print is going to do. Good luck.